Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I am your host, Jason Osborn. And on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned, and they can share them with us as well. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, and endless social media posting. To generate leads on LinkedIn, you actually have to stop marketing on LinkedIn, believe it or not. But to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. And the show, it will be in the show notes there for you to contact me as well at Jason A. Osborn. Today's guest is John Leary-Joyce. He is the owner of AOEC. And where in this company, he provides and his team provides executive team coaching training. So, John, it's great to have you on the call. And one of the questions I always start off with is this. If you had a time machine and you were able to go back to your younger version, just starting off your very first business, what's the number one piece of advice that you would give yourself?
Oh dear, there are so many. Follow your passion, basically. I've I think that's what's always guided me. What is it that really turns you on? And I've gone through my life at various points getting a little bit stale and tired, and then something new or some development emerges, and I think, yes, and I can feel my surge of energy as I go forward, because it's that a commitment to what your dream is and where you're going that you then communicate with others. And I hope I'm communicating that now as I consider, my next stage too in my life. I'm 70 years old and coming to the end of one career and saying, so what am I going to do next? But it's always about following your passion and your dream, really.
Yeah. So for those that of people that have heard that before, follow your passion. I think there's a lot of maybe conflicting advice or maybe not really understanding what that means, because a lot of people have a passion about something and it's not something that they can monetize, or maybe understanding how their business can fund their passion. What sort of advice would you give people around that? Because someone might go, oh yeah, my passion is X, but it's not really a viable type of business. How do they funnel that the right way?
Yeah, that's a great question, because if your passion is skateboarding, that might be an incredibly difficult business to create. So I was thinking more about my passion in business. So already I'm focused on where in the market, what are the opportunities. So I'm both passion and looking at what are the possibilities and options that are there, and looking for the gaps in the market. What is new? I somehow seem to be always fortunate. I mean, I entered the coaching market, having come from a psychotherapy world. Again, when I started there in the 1980s, that was a new, the humanistic movement was opening up, and I got caught up in that and was passionate about it, and started the Gestalt Center London as a psychotherapy training institute. And then this thing called coaching came up in around 95. And I thought, this is, it fits. And I could see a gap, something new. So maybe it's easy to say follow your passion, but maybe you have to be thinking about your passion having an opening that's relatively new in the market. So I launched into coaching, individual one-to-one coaching, back then in 2000. And then in 2010, came across a great colleague and friend from years ago who was into team coaching. And I thought, okay, here is something I'm fascinated by, and it's new. So I think it must also be when you ask the question in a business context, seeing where the gap is in the market that
Yeah.
you can capitalize and, as you say, eventually monetize. It takes a while, and you have to keep going to monetize it. Maybe you'll have lots more tips about how to make that journey faster and more efficient.
Yeah.
But I think it's
Yeah.
about keeping an eye out.
Yeah.
It's what I do. It's just
Yeah.
I'm a very curious person, and I question everything, and I look to see, so why does this not work, and what's an easier way to do the same thing that other people are doing.
Yeah, yeah, totally understand that. I think that's a great way to put it, is putting it in balance with business and where that passion lies, which creates a little bit more clarity on that whole idea of just following your passion, which is, I think, is
Yes.
absolutely great, John. In
Yeah.
terms of another question that I love to ask is, looking back at your career and running your business, or maybe multiple businesses, it sounds like you've had it have evolved over time. What is one of the biggest challenges that you've faced that at the time just seemed really almost overwhelming to be able to get through? But looking back, you're like, wow, if that hadn't have happened, we wouldn't be where we are today. And so what was that challenge? And what's one or two lessons you learned from that?
Um, I think it's great having an idea and being passionate about it, but it's then turning that into systems and processes that work. So when I launched the AOEC, it I had a little bit of capital. I had a few people around about me who were interested. I galvanized those. I used the contacts that I had, and off we went. Very little. It didn't require much. Certainly in my case. I mean, maybe if you're, inventing some new electric appliance, you've got a lot of investment. You've got to sell to investors. Once you've got the proposition, it's then turning that into something that's viable and workable. So you're creating systems and processes that will make your product, in my case, my service, my coaching service. So that was
Mm,
okay. I ran it sort of part-time, but once it needed to scale, that's when I needed to get people that knew about these things, because as a sort of entrepreneurial person, systems and processes were not my strength anyway. Um,
mm,
so the other thing is recognizing that you need other people to join you,
mhm,
and then it's finding those people that have both an interest, maybe even a passion in what you do, but are enthusiastic about joining you in that venture.
mm,
Um, so my way of working has been to grow organically. So it's about getting people on board, growing the business. I always say
yeah,
my job is to make myself redundant. So
yeah,
everything I do, so I did the finance, I did the marketing, I did the delivery, I did everything. And then as the business grows, I think, okay, I need somebody to do the marketing. So I make myself redundant there. I need somebody to do finance. So constantly, it's been a refrain right through my business. And I still think it now. How do I make myself redundant and have someone else step in to that role? So the whole element of creating a business is about, well, growing the business is about succession and spotting people. And I seem to have been fortunate, or at least I've made my own fortune by keeping an eye out and spotting talent, I guess.
mm,
When I look back on it, they're just people that came my way, and I thought, wow, yes. I mean, like speaking to you, I haven't met you, Jason, but hey, why not? Hey, let's just find out
Yeah.
what we could do together.
Yeah.
So jump on, see where it goes. And I guess that would be another element. It's kind of interesting
Yeah.
for asking me these questions because I'd never really thought about what did I do. I'm 50 years
Yeah.
in business, and never really thought about it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I ask
Properly.
these questions. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I love to hear people's responses around them and what they've learned in that, because this whole podcast is about just helping other
Yes.
businesses with these things. And if I were to kind of summarize what I'm hearing you say, it's being flexible, it's being open to opportunity, not discounting the interactions that you have with people because you don't know exactly where those may end up going down the road. And then a big thing that you were communicating there is about looking at how to make yourself redundant, not being precious about holding on to each thing, but being able to let it go so that you can continue to grow. So really amazing, amazing tips that you have. I'm quite curious, what is your goals over the next 1 to 2 years with the business?
Well, we're going through a major restructuring. I had originally a CEO in the business, and I went off and did a few other things, took a career break, went to Bhutan, India, various traveling things, and came back. And this was just post-COVID. And my CEO had done a great job of getting us through COVID, but she needed to step back, and I picked it up. And there's a lot of changes happened post COVID, and we needed a refresh. So I jumped
Mm,
back in, and over the last 4 years, have been refreshing the business, and that's involved a whole massive investment in digital transformation because
mm,
everything is changing. Of course, we're now on the threshold of a massive AI invasion, um, which will dramatically change things as well. But right now, it's about how do we work in the hybrid, so the virtual face-to-face training environment. How do we bring things up to date, get our better learning systems, digital systems in place because we are required to be more and more efficient at doing that. So it's about, in the next couple of years, it's about seeing the culmination of a huge amount
mm.
of investment. Um, the traditional bell curve. You're successful, you're
Yeah.
doing brilliantly, you get to the top, and then there's this slide down the back. And I kept thinking, I won't do that, but it happened. You're
Yeah.
successful, you're enjoying it, and then you think, oh, something, and oh look, I missed the next step up. And
Yeah.
we've had to go down the back end, regroup, put in more investment, and get stepping up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't matter. I mean, you will do podcasts about how to watch the bell curve and catch yourself at the top and reinvent yourself. And I thought I knew that. And yet I missed it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's
So
just all part of the journey, isn't it?
it
Like
is.
so much stuff that we learn and we always continue to learn. There's always new levels of learning. So, well,
Yes.
John, we are pretty much at the end of time. I was just
Oh, already.
engaged with what you were saying. I know, and I looked down. I was like, "Oh my gosh, we're at the end." So if people want to find out more about what you're doing or at the AOEC, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Just John at well, actually probably John.Leary-Joyce. So my whole name at AOEC.com for me personally, but our website www.aoec.com has all of our coach training programs and products that we deliver in the UK, but actually globally. So
Yeah,
that's the other bit I didn't get a chance to talk about, our expansion through
yeah.
our licensed partners around the world. That's another, where's my next step is about how to develop and monetize the, not passive, but sort of the income that comes through licensing your product.
Nice.
So that's another
That's amazing.
huge change. So maybe you'll invite me back and I'll talk about licensing.
Yeah. Nice. Well, that's amazing, John. Well, thank you so much for being on the show.
Pleasure.
Thank you for sharing how people can find you. And as a reminder, everyone, the show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way to close deals that doesn't rely on any of the old traditional methods that everybody hates. And to find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn, have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn, and that link will be in the show notes below as well.